What's up, guys? Will here with Renthusiast, my YouTube channel about Porsche ownership, and I am standing here with my friend Dave Van Epps, owner of Sonderwerks in Cornelius, North Carolina. And as you can see, we've got a lot of Porsche going on here. This is really kind of a Porsche fanatic's paradise. But today I'm here to talk about seats, and I've got a set of Recaro Sportster CSs, and I have plans to put a set of these in my Grand Prix White 993, so I thought I'd bring you guys along for the ride on that one. We're going to talk about material selection. We're going to talk about whether or not I paint the hardbacks. We're going to go through all of that. While I was here, I thought it might make sense for Dave to walk us through other seat options if you have a vintage Porsche maybe you want to be thinking about, because I don't know if you're like me, there's something about seats and steering wheels and wheels. So Dave, I'll turn it over to you. Maybe you want to talk us through your process to help a client select seat material or whatever.
Terrific. Well, happy to do it. Thanks, and appreciate you guys being here. We obviously do a lot of upholstery. It's one of our specialties, in addition to full restorations on cars, motor work, engine work, mechanical, everything else we do. But upholstery is often the gateway drug to Sonderwerks, so we'll start there. Obviously, 911s all had Recaro seats in them of various vintages. They were really all Recaro seats. Depending on the vintage of your car, whether it's a long hood, a G-body, or a 964, 993, the car's morphed and so did the seats. So we do a lot of reupholstery of the original vintage seats, but sometimes somebody will come and go, listen, I want to put something newer, more modern, a little bit different style or support in the car. And we do our best to try to guide the client into the right seat for their car. While you've got a 993, and I think this Recaro Sportster CS is a great seat because it looks appropriate in your car. There's also other seats, including the Expert M, which I think you had.
Two of my G-bodies, I had those in there.
Got it. Okay, so this is also a terrific seat and looks really appropriate in a G-body car. Then you've got, this is another brand that we represent, which makes some terrific seats. Scheelman also makes some other seats, the Travelers and the Sport Line, I think is what this is called. This is actually a great seat for a vintage long hood car. This is their 101. Unless you have black, you're going to come to us to have it redone, So black is really, most of these manufacturers are doing seats that you can get quickly in black, and then we'll take a seat like this, and depending on the owner's car, we'll change it up. So we'll recover that seat in the correct color for their car. The 101 has a headrest that goes with it as well, so you can do it with or without the headrest. It's got an adjustable back, so it's not a fixed bucket even though it looks like one, so you still have some adjustment so you can change the recline on the seat in the car.
Interesting.
Very supportive though, and that's a nice feature. That the adjustment here lets you crank this forward or back.
You wouldn't have thought that was the case.
But it's really important, and we can look at that in a long hood we've got here in the shop. Well, what we'll do, and I think you and I have talked about this, is we don't want to buy the seat with the most expensive covering, because we're going to redo it anyway.
Well, and that's why I chose the ugliest Recaro known to mankind. All due respect to anybody out there who has this color combination. I'm glad that we're going to redo them.
Right. So this is all black vinyl with this like light gray Alcantara. So this will all come out, and then we will recover this to match the cashmere beige that's on the inside of your 993. And then we can make decisions as to whether or not we want to do perf on the inserts, what stitching we want, contrast or not contrast. None of that really affects price because it's just a color choice. And then in your case, I think we're wanting to talk a little bit about the backs.
Yeah.
And what to do with these backs, because you sent me some pictures of a nice set of recovered CSs that actually had what I kind of viewed was a gloss back seat. We'd painted it, and we do this here all the time. We'll paint the seat back to match the color of the car if somebody wants. So in your case, we could have gone white, but if we want to go black, because I think it's a good combo with your car, then do we just leave them in the matte, which looks pretty good. I mean, I think the matte is not bad at all.
Yeah, I would say that's more of a black than a gray. My concern was I couldn't remember. Viewers, I owned a set of these in a Polar Silver 993 I had, and I just couldn't remember if that was a black or a gray, and it does look like a nice matte black that would match my black dash.
Yep. Let's go over and take a look at some leather.
All right, here we are in the selection area, the upholstery selection area. So Dave.
It's the inner sanctum, Will.
The inner sanctum.
Talk
us through it.
Okay, very good. So when we're picking a car seat, whether we're matching an interior or we're coming up with a completely new design, the colors are really important. So we've got to find the right color matches for the car. We definitely work very hard here to make sure that we match. Everybody's seen upholstery that somebody else has done where they didn't do a good match on the leather or some other color, vinyl, whatever it is, and you look at the car and you go, oh man, that is just like, who did that? So we do a lot of that kind of rework sometimes. Somebody will bring us a car. We had one the other day where somebody had just, thrown something in there that they thought was close. And so we ended up having to pull it out and redo it and make a match. So in your case, it's cashmere. So I'll show you. So here is a book of all sorts of Porsche leather, right? So, and you can see the various leathers that are here depending on the year and make of the car, or excuse me, the year and the model of the car. And so you have cashmere, you have cashmere 2, Savannah, champagne. There's a lot more beige, this style of color than you would think there would be, so they're not all the same. So our mission is obviously to match to your car. I'm pretty sure your car is cashmere. So if I was going to call this particular vendor, I'd be ordering leather hides of 940 cashmere. Having said that, sometimes the quality of the leather just isn't as good from one provider to the other. So my mission is then to go find the highest quality hides I can find so that then we can, make that nice, supple, soft leather that looks great in the car. So in this case, there's another vendor I work with called Apex Leather, and they have a color that they actually call Horizon from a line called Fusion, and it's out of Italy. And this particular color is a dead match for cashmere. So it is a really terrific match, and the leather is great. The feel, the hand on it is really terrific. And you can see if I match that up to cashmere here, the color match is really quite good. Mm-hmm. So this is a great match. It's a great quality product. These folks happen to be in the North Carolina area as well, so I can get this leather quickly. There's a lot of leather here in North Carolina based on the furniture industry. Big furniture industry here, so we get real great access to a lot of different materials from some really nice vendors.
Speaking of access to materials, it does get me thinking about turnaround time. So if I were to, what kind of expectations should I have?
For the general public, Will, or for you?
Because I'm so special. Yeah, no, really, but what's your turnaround time, would you say?
Well, normally to do a seat, it's normally about 2 days to do a seat. But I've got 5 upholsterers here.
And a ton of work there, too.
Yeah, there's a lot of work right now. We got a lot of stuff going on in the shop. It really is a bit of an ebb and flow and how we work it in. So it's what is the project? What do you want to get done? How long might it take? If you're doing a full interior or you're doing a couple of seats, you want to do seat inserts only. Those things just take different amounts of time, and we schedule those in differently depending on what the project is.
So what are we looking at here?
This is actually that same material. So this is a hide that we had perfed. And from another video we did, I'm a stickler for perf. And so the size of the perf and so on matters depending on the year of the car. So you want to have the right size, the width, the dimensions of it, the direction of the perf to match these cars. Now people can do custom things if they want, and I've certainly done some fantastic custom stuff in my own cars. But if you want to kind of come back to an original seat, you want to send me your set of sport seats or comfort seats out of a 911, we'll match the color, we'll get the perf correct, and then we'll assemble the seat. So in your case on these CSs, I think we'll probably end up doing perf inserts on them.
Yeah, so part of the reason I bought that car is it's just the interior is so mint and it's so stock. And so anything I'm doing here, I don't want to pull in a lot of funky material or anything. I really want it to feel stock-ish. Right. I mean, we know these seats aren't correct, but I really want it to feel like it flows with the interior.
The seat will look right inside the car, right? It'll look terrific. And there's just all kinds of other colors and things. And you can see, here's another supplier I work with, Coast to Coast Leather, and they have, various Porsche OEM for the year. But somebody will come to me and say, oh, I want a tobacco color. It doesn't have to be a Porsche leather. I can go through this book and there's just hundreds and hundreds of samples from all different types of manufacturers, and we'll pick a color that works. And as long as the grain is correct and the feel and the hand is correct on the material, we also this company in particular, Coast to Coast, does a great job with the vinyl match. So if we need to do vinyl in certain areas of the car, then we can actually match a vinyl to the leather color that we're picking also. A great example of that, Will, and if you can kind of go back to this 928 we're working on here. This is also in that Horizon, the cashmere that I was just telling you about.
So is this what you're recommending for my car?
Yes.
And I think, by the way, on camera, it's showing up as being lighter than it really is to the naked eye.
Yeah, but this is black carpeting, cashmere. This was a complete color change on this 928. So this car actually had a blue interior on it. So the client has asked us to do a complete color change.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really did come out just absolutely stunning. So
I mean, this really isn't that far off of what my car will look like.
Yeah, and color-wise, yeah, it's very similar.
Okay, we've got this thing kind of semi-mocked up, and you know, I want to have this perforated leather center, and then we're going to go with the, I guess just standard or whatever, non-perfed.
Non-perfed, right.
Leather. And
then the question will be things like stitch color. So you'll want to look at the rest of the color, which I think is probably in the same color. The fabric itself the stitch color is the same as the material.
So no deviated stitching?
It's your call, of course, but you want to decide whether or not you want to put it in, if it's that way on the original seats, or you want to add it. So you look at a seat like this that we're going to start with. So this seat's got to be deconstructed. And I can't even begin to tell you, it looks kind of simple, but there's probably 20 or 30 individual pieces that go together to make this as we'll deconstruct it. Underneath this is just some seating foam, probably some different thicknesses and firmnesses depending on where it is on the seat. This will all come apart. We'll strip it down. We're going to leave the backs, so we'll set the backs aside, and then we'll start to go about recreating this cover. We have patterns for this cover already. And then we're going to make individual decisions. I think we've talked about eliminating the Recaro logo in the center, but they have a cool little subtle tag over here on the side, which we can integrate back into your seat too. So it still keeps that branding, but it's very subtle and nice. So we'll integrate that back in. We'll do the inners and the perf. We'll do the outers and non-perf of the same material and color. And then
we'll retain the black plastic down there. So
all the black plastic, everything that you see, the way this is. And then there's a unique or individual slider for these seats.
Well, and let me just say this. I think we need to double click, as they say, on sliders, because I get so many questions from guys who are watching my seat videos. What slider should I get? How do I install it? Blah, blah, blah. So do you want to give us the quick and dirty on that?
It depends on the model year of the car. Some of them are easier than others. Some of the manufacturers make a kit specifically for the car, so it's a direct bolt-in. We've done it all. I've made individual custom kits, because typically the slider is going to be a different width than the car's rails might be, or the mounting points in the car. So we have to kind of adapt that. I know you've had to put these in another 993.
I did, and what I ended up having to do is bore holes in the back side or the back end of the bracket of the sliders to mate up correctly with the bolt holes in the floor. I don't know if that's a technical term. But yeah, so some modifications were necessary, but it was totally fine.
It's all good.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure it's secured properly in the seat, that there's enough material that's holding that down. You don't want to cheap out on that.
So let me just talk about Sonderwerks real quick. So if somebody relatively local buys a set of seats from you, like, will you install them for them as part of the deal, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But you will also ship seats out, right?
Absolutely.
So if somebody's watching this somewhere else, I mean,
we'll either ship it, they ship seats into us to have them recovered. We have a whole process that we've already got kind of ID'd in terms of the right size boxes and how to minimize the cost of shipping and so on. So we've got that kind of all dialed in, and people ship seats in from all over the country that we'll recover and send back out to them to bolt back into their car.
So, I mean, I think in my case, I kind of already had a vision for this, but I can say, guys, that, you know, in doing seats with Dave before, he definitely guided me through the decision-making process. And so it's always fun to come to Sonderwerks for sure. There's so much to see here. And then, of course, when you're buying yourself a new toy, I mean, we all love that too. So, yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll close this one out, but I'm going to have a couple more. I'm going to have a video that reveals the seats when they're finished, and then I'm going to give you guys a ride-along video and just give you an impression of what these Recaro Sportsters are like. So, Dave, man, thank you so much for sharing your time and your insight.